Hey, we're live.
Oh man, look at that! You already started. Just stop it. Quit it. You will stop that right now.
I thought I was going to vent for time for you, so I went live just to chat with the folks, and you were popped in right when I clicked live.
No. I mean, what am I supposed to? Let a bathroom thing keep me from getting here on time? What? Of course not. No way.
I wasn't going to put all your secrets out like that, but all right.
I mean, I didn't say what I was doing in the bathroom, Jarrod. I just said bathroom emergency. That can be any number of things. New Warriors come out to play.
We've got some people in the chat wanting us to do weekly New Warriors content. I told them if we got to 500 patrons, we'd go weekly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely would go. I mean, we will be out of content. I like the start of the new year. It's like, well, that's all the New Warriors.
So,
Firestar, she
join us next week as we cover the Nova miniseries from 1978.
Yeah.
We got some folks in the chat to say hello to.
We do. I got it, man. I'll do the hosting stuff.
All right. I thought you were, recovering.
From bathroom stuff. Auburn Elvis, Jason Lady. Hello. Matt Paso. Hello. Longbox Crusade. Oh, wait. No, that was Jared. That was Jason. Doc Strange. Yep. Trey Black, Heinz Cook. And Jim Meal. And did I say Kathy already?
I'll say it again, I guess.
Kathy already. So yeah, we got folks, y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's see. I haven't even looked at the script yet, but welcome to Come Out to Play, a New Warriors podcast. We would love if you would hit the like button for this podcast. We would love if you hit the subscribe button for the Longbox Crusade. Last thing I looked at it recently, it was like 339. Those are good numbers, but I feel like those are rookie numbers and we can get it up. If everybody on here told a friend about it and then they told two friends, by like the end of 8 minutes, the rest of the world would already be a part of the Longbox Crusade. Don't do the math on that. Jarrod, do you have a question for me? I'm Delvin, the Night Thrasher to the show. That's Jarrod. Nova to the show and
one
something like that.
Two friends. If I tell one friend, so I tell Delvin and he tells two friends, which is Jason and Pat. Yeah. And we're back where we started. Yeah. Sure. Of course I thought out a question and just make one up in my head just now.
Heck yeah, you did.
So we're pretty much officially moving from Marvel Boy to Justice.
Pretty much, yes.
We got sort of a new costume design, likes to refer to himself as Justice. The font changes when he says the word Justice a lot.
Justice.
So, I'd be interested to know what character revamp. I'd love it if we could both think of one where they not only change their look, but also their name. But we're on the spot here, so we may need some help from the chat. Do you like best?
Man, do I like best? I mean, New Warriors had a couple. And, we saw one, and we're going to see one next issue, too. So, I mean, that's not really much of a huge reveal at this point. They've been hinting at that for a while. So I'll go with a recent one. And Ben Reilly, who we will see at some point in the pages of the New Warriors, by the way, is no longer the Scarlet Spider. He is now a villain called Chasm. So there's that. And then
I don't like it.
I tell you what, I like the actual reason that they gave. Like, they're like, okay, look, we can't have 3 Spider-Men. Like, we already got 2. And then technically, like, since Kane is not dead. I think Kane is still kind of the Scarlet Spider. And so it's like, we had to do something with Ben. So they made him into a bad guy.
My head hurts. I always liked Ben Reilly, though. That was cool. As you and I both know, being longtime Spidey readers, the intent was always to be that Ben was actually the real deal ever since the whole Jackal thing and whatnot back in the day. And that's what opened up a big playbook.
I don't know if he was supposed to be. It had gotten so convoluted.
I think that was the original tack, as I understand it. But then they convoluted it.
Yeah.
Because people were like, Peter Parker always, and they're like, well, yeah, he was, yeah. They triple stamped a double stamp, which I don't think you're supposed
to can't triple stamp a double stamp. No, you can't. Is there anybody that you're thinking of?
Well, I have one in mind for a character redesign, although he didn't change his name. Okay. And you and I are going to get in the time machine and travel back to about 1998.
So take me away. I don't mind, but you gotta promise me I'll be back in time. Okay, keep going.
All right. And 1998 is going to affect a tremendous overhaul to a character by way of some way of personality and definitely by the way of look. And it's all thanks to the match that lit the entire popularity of Marvel, and it's Blade. Blade was a little not as cool. I believe he's a character of the 70s. I want to say it was Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan, and a great concept, but they never quite got him to work. And then that movie was like, this is how you make Blade work. And since the movie came out, that's Blade in the comics now. And I think is one of the best overhauls of a character they've ever done.
Yeah, even though like people were running to the stores looking for Blade comic books, and they're like, we're coming out with a Blade miniseries, and then he was back in this red thing. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, they fumbled the ball so hard. Like Marvel was not ready for Blade movie to be successful at all. I did get a kick out of this one thing, though. I saw some behind the scenes, and you and I have laughed about certain lines in the there's worse things out tonight than vampires, like me and your world's a sugar coated topping. Yeah. I come to find out those are actual lines from old Blade comic books. Like, yes, those are right out of the old comics. And I was like, no wonder we thought they felt a little weird.
Really?
Yeah, I watched a little behind the scenes video on it. They're like, hey, we used some real lines from Blade, and I think those were two of them.
What about MF's always trying to ice
that one? I think is all Wesley. It just smells like Wesley. Okay. It looks like Wesley, and I love it.
Oh, I mean, that line was so memorable. I mean, I think a couple of people answered the question, by the way. Scott O'Neill, welcome, by the way, says Robin to Nightwing is the two
so obvious. I didn't think of it. Yes.
Me either. And as much as I raved about the new Nightwing, I absolutely love Dick Grayson as a.
That's probably the winner. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, I would agree. They did I mean, whoever came up with it, and it was like, I don't know, it was an amazing job. You know who didn't like it though? Dan Didio. He didn't like it.
He did not care for it. You know what? I don't know if this is a character overhaul, but I want to give an honorable mention to remember when Tony Stark had his alcohol problem in the comics, and so James Rhodes was Iron Man for him while he got clean, which was a great storytelling. What a great way to introduce a new character. And then they gave him, it's not an overhaul per se, but then War Machine. I think War Machine is great.
Yeah.
He's like Iron Man, with less sort of techie and thinking of the future, but more militaristic, tactical. And I really like that. I like the two of them together, especially.
I think I still have that mini series that they did with War Machine back in the day, like that 12 issues. I can't remember, was it black and white or something special about it?
Yeah. I remember they did a Max series for a while on it, and I've done it pretty much anytime they've been like, hey, here's a War Machine mini or maxi. I bought it because I love the character. It's one of the best things Marvel ever did. But
Yep.
Anyway,
let's see. We had a couple answers. Jason Lady said, I like Hank Pym becoming Yellow Jacket, by far the coolest of his many identities. I'm not sure if Janet Van Dyne likes the yellow.
He didn't do the coolest things, but it was the coolest look.
Yeah, didn't do the coolest things. We're gonna quickly transition away. And let's see. Jason Lady also says Kitty Pryde becoming Shadow Cat and getting that blue costume. Apex Kitty IMO. Yes. Yeah. Shadow Cat, absolutely cool name. Like it took her a while to get there. I like Shadow Cat. Shadow Cat's cool. Let's see. Anything else? No, I don't don't think so. What was that one? Says Steve Rogers became the agent, and it was so cool they made another guy become U.S. agent.
I have always really liked that design, and U.S. agent is one of my favorite characters too. So yeah, definitely cool.
So thank goodness we had fans, because like as usual, you ask some, even though it was a quick question and I'm sitting there like,
I love the ideas in the chat. Like, I love the fact that neither one of us landed on Nightwing, which is so obvious. We drove right past it.
Right past Nightwing Lane and the Chasm Boulevard.
Probably the best reinvention of a character ever. Yeah, I can't think of one better.
No, and I already forgot who said it, but whoever did, that was a fantastic one. And
Scott.
It was Scott. Scott, you win this round. Absolutely. Great job. And we should keep going. Come Out to Play is a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. First volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. We will cover all of this first volume as I rediscover my love for his series. My love for this series, help others find theirs, and share our love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards and bucket helmets. It's time to play. We're talking New Warriors issue 43, y'all. And the cover credits go to Derek Robertson and Larry Malstead. And Jared's bringing that up. He's already got the banner up of looking at the cover, and there it is. He even flipped us around, and I didn't even have to move that much. I'll slightly move while Jared describes the cover and tells us what he thinks about it. You're on mute, Jared.
I was just practicing because I know we have a double page.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I got to go towards the mic. All right, let's talk about this cover. It's a lot of Vance Astrovik playing in some kind of a hockey league, I think. He takes up a lot of the cover. Okay, let's start with the basics. The New Warriors logo is in yellow with light blue highlights behind it. Is a red triangle. It says vet. This is great radio for the podcast version. I'm going to get rid of this so we can see the cover better. It says Vance Astrovik returns to, right above, New Warriors. And you get, like I said, we got the big new look for Vance Astrovik. And then if you pay attention, sort of the bottom border, there's a lot of protest signs and stuff. Death to Marvel Boy, bad human, something. There's protests going on. Fists are in the air. And then more the top half border, they're still doing that sort of trading card look, and the border is yellow this time. And that's about it. It's a heck of a lot of Vance Astrovik as Justice, and with a little bit of like sort of protest signs as border.
And at the bottom of it, it says, "Are you happy now?"
Oh, I missed that. Yes, it does.
Yes, a little bit of Michelle Branch singing there. You remember that song? Could you look me in the eyes and tell me, are you happy now? Ooh. No?
Nope. All right.
Oh, Michelle Branch. She was hot like 6 months. Any event, did you say what you thought about the cover?
I didn't give my opinion. I just described it. I'm happy to jump in if you like.
Please.
It's good. I mean, it's not a bad cover. It's good. I don't know. I feel like the trading card border thing is kind of played out. I don't know that we need it anymore. Although this one feels more like a trading card than maybe any of the others. It's very singularly focused. I don't know that I'm crazy about this new costume design, which I think drags it down a little bit. I do like what the colorist did in the background, or it might have been just a cover designer. At this point, I don't know how much they're doing digital, but people behind the curtain, usually your colorists used to do the colorists would do everything. And there comes a point where there's a cover designer who starts sort of digitally putting things together from all the different pieces. Okay. Anyway, where I'm going with this, it fades from top black to bottom red, which I thought was smart because you got that protest going on, and red is sort of that emotional, strong emotion color. So I like that part of it. So overall, it's good. I think the thing that holds me back the most about it is I'm just not crazy about this costume design.
So you prefer the Marvel Boy costume a little bit more than you prefer this costume?
So far, and I don't, you know more New Warriors than I do, but it seems to me like when they introduce a new character, they dabble in a few different tweaks in costumes. Like I feel like we've seen Rage in a couple different looks, and I feel like that's going to happen with Vance here as well. I think we're going to get some tweaks as we go. I'm more looking forward to the tweaks. This isn't a bad design; it just doesn't do a lot for me.
Well, I'm glad they didn't go over the top with like, scales on his chest or whatever, like, and the scales mean justice. Even though like some people mention that they think that the belt that he wears is kind of representative of scales, and I'm not necessarily sure about that. I think it's an okay change. Like the thing that I probably like the most is that the Marvel Boy costume, it covered his hair. And like that just seems restricting. And like one of the things, I can't remember whether he used to have a crew cut or not in the earlier issues, but this one, it kind of lets his hair flow a little bit. And so it just looks a little bit more adult, as it were. Like, and especially at this point, like, yeah, he's Justice, but like, and he's wearing a costume, but everybody knows that he's Vance Astrovik at this point. Like,
good point.
So like he has a lot less to hide. Like he went into prison. They knew that Marvel Boy, aka Vance Astrovik, went into prison no matter what he wears at this point. So it looks like this is something that he thought of.
Yeah, I'd go mask free then, because like, it all does make you hot. Like if everybody knew who I was, I'd just go mask free.
Yeah. Scott O'Neill asked, did Michelle Branch have a song that wasn't Bitch? And that
song I remember.
That's not Michelle Branch. That's Meredith Brooks. Meredith Brooks did Bitch.
Same
not Michelle Branch.
I see the confusion.
Yeah. So and I'm amazed.
The things that rattle around in your head, my friend, from TV themes of which you've never forgotten one. To this weird stuff.
Like there's like a monkey clinking cymbals, and then like, there's a jukebox like right by the monkey. It just plays random S. Okay. Did I say, yeah, I said what I thought about it. Like, I think it's good. And certainly fitting that they only featured Vance Astrovik in that it's his big return to the book. Like so much so that they didn't even do a cover, the cover box, or excuse me, the corner box with the rest of the Warriors in there. Like they went ahead and just gave the full feature to Vance Astrovik. I like the trade dress in the sense that like just kind of like, says, hey, this is a new Warriors book and this is the thing. So I kind of like it.
From a consistency point of view, that only the new Warriors was doing this, it's okay.
Yeah. Matt Passo says Michelle Branch was early 2000. Yeah, I was joking about that and saying Michelle Branch and Are You Happy Now? It was just a little, little jokey joke that I did there. It did not land. Okay, we are going to rate the book now, 1 to 10 nightsticks, to describe what we think about the cover. I'll give it an 8. I think it's good. I like the singular focus on Vance. And I think that they did everything to make it into as big of an event as possible. So that plus, me generally being a fan of Derek and Larry's work, I'm comfortable with an 8. What do you think, Jarrod?
It's a 4. Okay, it's not a 4, but I would say it's a 7. I would go 8 or maybe even 9 if it was a redesign that I just thought was killer. This design just isn't for me. If it spoke to me more, I'd bump it up, but I'm at a 7.
Gotcha. I saw 3 ratings. If they're going to be more, just go ahead and fill them in and I will read them either now or a little bit later. Matt Passo says, I would say it's an okay cover. Very white background due to the cape. I get him flying, but the floating pose doesn't quite do it for me. I give it a 7. Trey Black says 8. It gets the mood of the issue across, and I like that little bit of snark. Jason Lady says it's a 7. Bold portrait of a revamped character who has lost his innocence and has had his idealism tempered by harsh reality. Ooh. Jarrod is very impressed at the poetry of your words, Jarrod. Excuse me, Jason. And yeah, I think that. Oh wait, one more. Auburn Elvis says, if the look had caught on, this cover would be better in retrospect. But we all know the outfit doesn't last. That cover, the cover is a 6.
Yeah, I understood.
It does mostly last. Am I forgetting something? You know what? I guess we're gonna see. Like, don't tell me, Auburn Elvis, if I'm forgetting something, because I thought the costume was around to stay. He didn't. I know he didn't go back to the Marvel Boy costume. So, in any event, like the one thing that I did like, I mean, even though he's supposed to be a little bit older teenager, maybe even in his 20s, like they didn't keep them welded to looks. Like a lot of times they would do costume changes. And I actually think that's something that teenagers would do a decent amount. It's like, well, I did wear this old costume, but that was the old me. It's like, dude, that was like 8 minutes ago. It's like, I know I was a totally different person then.
Kitty Pryde has definitely been doing that in our X-Men run from 1982.
Oh, geez, yes. She has not settled on, that look, that soup yet. Like, she really hasn't. But I guess, we keep recording. We'll get there. In any event, Jarrod's about to read the cover credits for this issue. Go ahead and read it. I'll do the other changes while you're doing that.
All right. Well, let's talk about New Warriors number 43. Its on sale date was November 23rd, 1993. Its cover date was January 1994. Its cover price was $1.25. Story is Fabian DCA's The Pencilers. Derek Robertson with a little help from Brandon McKinney. Ink by Larry Malstead. Colors by Joe Rosas. Letters by Chris Iliopoulos. And editor is Rob Tokar. Thank you to Mike's Amazing World. And once again, rest in peace, Mike. You have given us all a wonderful tool and a wonderful legacy.
Absolutely. Auburn Elvis says, I think he went back to an outfit with a star on the chest. Not you mention it. Yes. Like the cape stays. Like that's the big mainstay of Vance. He likes that blue cape no matter what. So he keeps that, but it does adapt and change. Thank you for that reminder, Auburn Elvis. I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis very quickly. The title of the book is Injustice for All. Vance Astrovik is free from prison, but it looks like there are other prisons he has yet to escape. Oh yeah, it looks like Namarita has escaped from a prison as well, and she don't look the same no more. We're about to talk about it though. Jared's going to bring up some screenshots. We're about to talk about them screenshots, and discussion's going to form. Oh, there's the swerving that I should have done. There we go. You're on mute again, my friend.
I can't do everything. All right, so this is the first one. It's a double page spread that I promised you. And yes, it starts off with a high note. Vance Astrovik has been released from prison. All of his buddies are there.
Yeah.
He's got his lady friend. What could go wrong?
Mm-hmm. Rage is very tall.
He is.
You big boy.
And Nova likes to pose no matter what he's doing. He likes to strike a pose.
He likes to strike a pose, and it also shows, though that new costume that he sported from last issue, which concluded the Star-Lost storyline, where, as you mentioned off discussion, where Nova died about 11 times.
I think Nova died 11 times in that story arc.
But he came back with a brand new costume to boot. So there's that. I always like these pictures because, like that they get the sheets of like how tall each person is. And so like, if you look, like Angelica is a little bit short, but not as short as Silhouette, who has to probably hunch just a little bit, to have her walking sticks. And then you've got Dwayne, who is, I'd say, average tall, and he's about the same height as Marvel Boy. Nova's just a hair taller. And then you've got Speedy, even like that. This, Speedball grows a little bit. Like Speedball is just a little bit shorter than the three guy heroes I mentioned. Then you got Rage, who's just simply huge. He looks like he's about a 7 foot tall dude. So yeah, I always like those pictures. And I think this is a good double page spread.
Well, I'm about to give us some more breathing room as we move on to the next page that I've pulled up. Okay, so things don't go terribly well
No.
And you know who doesn't help himself when things don't go terribly well?
Vance?
Vance, yes, Astro lad here, whatever his name. He's got a lot of righteous indignation. I'm trying to be like Jason Lady now. Or Jason Albrecht, one of the two. But you understand where he's coming from, but he does not handle the pushback. And a lot of people are excited to see him out of jail. There's, already exists in the Marvel universe the anti-mutant sentiment, and now we have like a convicted murderer. So people are not exactly thrilled about that. And his choice to get very angry looks and start shoving things around and scaring people might have not been the best tactic.
Well, Auburn Elvis agrees with you. He says if you're trying to convince people you're not a menace, flying above them with your eyes giving off red smoke while you yell at them is not the best choice.
Yeah.
Trey Black has a counterpoint and says, well, when someone throws an aborted mutant fetus at you, I don't know, man. Like, put it this way. Like, even his teammates gave pause and they're like, should we stop him? And Night Thrash was like, nah, he's got it. And I give Thrasher credit and the rest of his teammates credit for not making it worse necessarily and trying to fight him. They let him vent a little bit, and he just picked a couple of people up and put them down. Like, there was no harm, no foul. I hate this saying, okay? I do. But I can see both sides of this. I do. I can understand why if you're a mutant who has just gotten out of jail and responsibly served your sentence and got out for good conduct, possibly the first thing that you wouldn't want to do as soon as you get out is rabble rouse. And he was kind of being a rabble rouser here. There's not really much of a debate in that. Like, regardless of whether or not he had justification behind doing it, maybe the best thing would have been to do is, even with the cameras there, kiss his girlfriend, go off with his teammates, let people say what they want to, and just walk the heck away.
Yeah, from a storytelling point of view, a big surprise. I feel like Fabian's is very heavy-handed in this issue again. And what I kind of mean by that is, yeah, there's always been in the Marvel universe, the whole mutant thing, which I've seen plenty of very funny videos on social media about, like, how people are like, oh, Captain America and Hulk, you guys are the coolest. And then they go to like Wolverine. Oh, you're disgusting. Like, there's no difference between these people. Right. But, yeah. We all know why Marvel did it and all that. And that's fine. But I feel like Fabian gets very heavy handed in this. Like, with the mutant baby. I was like, what is happening here? Like, so what I'm trying to say is we've seen the anti-mutant sentiment plenty of times in Marvel. But I really feel like Fabian, ramped it up to 11 to, give some power to this new character and which direction he's going to go.
And I think by the end of this issue, we haven't really seen what direction he's going to go. If there's a word that you can describe the whole issue about, it's angst. There was a lot of angst.
Yeah, yes. That's the word I'm looking for. Angst, yes.
Yeah, a ton of angst going on. And this was the start of it. It's like, yep, they had the Friends of Humanity going on. And no matter what, like, they just simply were not, like, you're a mutant and you existed, therefore you are evil and you deserve to be purged from the earth, which is about as extreme of a viewpoint as you possibly could have, in the context of the Marvel universe. Obviously, to my knowledge, there are no mutants that walk the earth.
Not anymore. We got them all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we lost our viewership.
The numbers just went from 70 to 0. Like, wow. But yeah, so angst. That's just the best way to put it. Like, I do a lot of angst. We can keep going for now. Yes.
I like the comment from Elvis. Hulk is great. Looks at Jean Grey. You sicken me. So weird. But anyways, let's move on.
One thing real quick. Matt Pasa also has, but Graydon's Grading Creed's group is all about causing those kind of reactions. Emotions are high, and Vance is still dealing with a lot. Then we just kind of mentioned that. Yes. Yeah, Grading Creed, bro did not like mutants. That much is for sure.
Okay. So, like, I think that would have really helped this issue if they'd shown someone sort of pulling the strings. Like, we're absolutely going to try to get this guy to overreact, right? That would help.
They did.
Ish. Yes, a little bit.
We're
going to talk about. I got paid.
Yeah, not on this topic, but good transition.
Right, because we go to this guy, who I think I was unfamiliar with. Maybe I know him in some other context, but I quickly learned that he is the son of
Sebastian Shaw.
Kevin Bacon. Yes, Sebastian Shaw, who he played him in the Kevin Bacon played him in the movie. But yeah, so if I remember my Sebastian Shaw right, which is a little, I'm especially hazy on mutant lore. It seems like they have a similar power set. Something about Sebastian Shaw can like repurpose energy, and this guy can sort of like similarly like control his own density. I think is what we.
Yeah, it definitely a kind of a twist, right? Because Sebastian Shaw's biggest thing is that he could absorb any kinetic energy. Like if he's hit with like an energy blast, he can take that and use it to become stronger. As a result, so you can't attack him directly physically in order to incapacitate him. Looks like his son Shinobi is able to control molecular density, and it looks like this is some X-Men lore, probably back around the 300s or so. Ooh, no, maybe a little bit earlier than that. It looks no, it was around the 300s. They had this whole thing, this great game, and the idea was like these power brokers were supposed to kill as many mutants as possible. And so Shinobi Shaw's contribution into this game was that he apparently at this point had killed Sebastian Shaw. And so he was approached by the arbiter of the game, who I'm going to blank on his name, the conductor or something like that. He was approached by him and said, hey, you're kind of slipping here. You're about to get all your points taken away. And like Shinobi's kind of like, look, I mean, I killed my dad, right? That's something. It's like, yeah, but you need to keep going. And the games master, thank you, Trey. His name was the games master. And so Games Master said, well, maybe you need to find somebody that will do your work for you then. And that's kind of where it leaves off.
Okay. Yeah, it's there's a lot of catch up for this guy. For me, I don't know if he was big. Shinobi was not big in the Marvel Universe. I played all 3 of his video games. They were outstanding, but you saw that joke coming the minute you mentioned his real name. All right. So he's involved. He's part of the machinations.
Yes.
And I think that's why I picked this page, because once again, it kind of summarizes that not only is Vance having a bit of trouble sort of fitting back into society, society's not helping a lot with the anti-mutant stuff, but his own mother, he's having a hard time fitting back with her, because there's some blame there. You never did anything to help me. It's tough emotions for both of them, because she's like, yeah, you killed my husband and your dad. He wasn't a great guy, but I will angsty, and I will give Fabian some credit, because I think he thought this through more than some writers would. Like, that is going to be a tough relationship to repair, because it's just, even at the end of the day, we all know Vance's dad was not a good man. We're in some very gray areas here. It's going to be tough for them all. And I think that level of angst from Fabian is smart writing. It feels like, yeah, man, that would take a lot of time and discussion to get past.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty of it. Like, I think in some instances, him coming out of jail could have absolutely been glad handled. And it's like, but in this case, like, the whole point of the New Warriors, and they even mentioned at the start of the book, is like, hey, New Warriors are used to dealing with the gray, and we're about to get into some gray-ish, y'all. It's about to be gray.
Whew, I need a breather from these gray ones, man. I guess the Star
Lost.
Lost saga was a breather from that. But yeah, we're back in the thick of it.
Yeah, you only had Nova dying 11 times.
11 times.
He got better, y'all. So it's okay. Better. Yeah, in this case, this is some it's some sticky stuff. Like that's just, there's no other way to put it. It's like, does Vance have a reason to be frustrated? Yes. Does Norma have a reason to be frustrated? Well, yes.
Yeah.
She does. And it's like, I don't know who's right or wrong. The only thing that I wish that would have happened looking at the relationship was that I wish that either his mom would have come to visit him and they could have had a lot of those uncomfortable talks and conversations, and that they could have at least come to some sort of peace then. But she wasn't ready, which also, again, maybe that's fair. Like her husband died. The son who was in the house is gone too. And oh, by the way, the son that was in the house killed the dad.
Yeah, especially during this moment, I'm getting very much Purple Rain vibes. If you've never seen it, it's very much about a guy who's trying to find his own way, who has a very abusive father. And, I do, Albert Elvis made a quasi joke in the chat about how he treats his mom is how he's going to treat you, Firestar, right? And that's a very Purple Rain thing. If you've seen Purple Rain, there's a scene where Prince actually smacks his girlfriend. And then he realizes, I'm becoming my dad.
Yeah.
And he has to come back from that. And I'm really kind of worried about Vance here, because it really feels like this is where Fabian is pushing him. Society's against him. His mother's against him. He's grown up, whether you like it or not, around the abuse. It gets into your DNA sometimes. That's my Purple Rain analogy.
And much like Prince, Vance has glowing eyes.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
It's like a deer.
But yeah, I came to that sort of conclusion that we might be seeing Vance have to figure out, much like the kid did in Purple Rain, what path is he going to go? And I love the very comic booky moment in the last panel of like the guy, like, guy. That's very comic booky.
Yeah, especially since Shinobi had nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, he's taking all the credit.
Yeah, there were zero machinations put in place by Shinobi Shaw on that. Like, he did nothing but took all the credit for it.
He's you're not going to make this putt guy from Happy Gilmore. You jackass.
By the way, y'all, I've been looking at the comments that have been going by, and I feel like it's mirroring a decent amount of the things that Jarrod and I are saying. I'll add things as needed, but trust me, like, the conversation has been fantastic and completely reasonable. Like, among the summary, they are sort of talking about the X-Men books at the time and some of the characters that were part of that great game, and how terrifying those characters were. And then a little bit of the discussion went into just talking about this situation on this page too. Like, one comment, for instance, from Scott was saying, Norma has a reason to be nervous. Vance's powers leaking out in those top panels must have been terrifying to his mom the last time she saw him lose control of his powers. He killed his dad.
Yeah,
that's fair. And that's the one thing, is just like, maybe like we got, let's see, this is issue 43. We got 32 more issues of New Warriors to go, man. I cannot remember whether or not Vance reconciled with his mom, but I certainly hope that they did, because I don't know. I mean, there's just something about seeing a mom or dad and their kid not being able to reconcile differences that it's a little tough, and you hope that people are able to get past those, even though that's not always the case.
Indeed, sir. Let's go to next page. All right, so you mentioned in your story review, we sort of have a sub story line going on with Nemorita. And I do remember, and I did read the last issue, even though I wasn't on the episode. Thanks for stepping up, Matt Passo. I knew we could count on you. I do remember she'd gone back to Atlantis for some changes she felt something was weird, and now clearly she's gone through some change that's very concerning to the older, wiser people of the Undersea Kingdom. She's got these webbed hands. She's looking very blue. I mean, they haven't revealed a lot of her. This is the best look you're going to get at her of her in this book, and that's pretty interesting. You know, it's smart storytelling on his being Fabian's behalf to keep something else in the back burner at all times, and it's cool to move those characters around to see who it's going to be. Right now, it's her.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that I kind of smile at, though, like they're like, "Oh my God, what's happened to her?" It's like she's blue like y'all. That's not that much difference. But then again, that said, if you like came in our house and was like, "Man, I got a stomach ache. I don't feel so good," then you open the door and you're a black dude. I'm like, "What the?"
It's happened to me a dozen times.
Oh my goodness! If we were offline, the comments that I would have made.
I know. I got a bunch of really good jokes, and it can't.
Yeah, none of those. Next, next panel, please.
Happened to Lois Lane, though. You must have seen that cover where Lois Lane.
Oh God! No.
At the time, they were tackling an issue, so
something you can get away with. I don't know was that the 60s or 70s. Either way, it was just like,
yeah.
If they did that now, it's like, and Superman has been pulled from all freaking comic books ever. Super who? I never knew the dude. never existed.
One day I want to get a hold of this issue, just read it and just see like where did they go with this. Anyway, let's get back to New Warriors instead of the downfalls.
Let's do that.
All right. So once again, we see our guy Marvel Boy making a big, strong, emotional decision. He blew another hole, like the insurance bill at the Astrovik house. It's got to be phenomenal. He blew another hole in the building.
He didn't blow a hole in the. Well, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He's got protesters out on his front yard. That once again, this is not a great look. And one more panel of the guy at the end, which I feel like they're just having fun with at this point. But yeah, this release from prison, should have or could have been a very joyous occasion, but it's just not going that way.
No, it's not. Now, the thing that I kind of, when you was like, I was like, he didn't put a hole in it. Well, yeah, he did. He did it for a good reason. And that was like somebody had thrown basically a Molotov cocktail into Mrs. Astrovik's house. And I thought it was very impressive, and it shows how much he now has control of his powers.
Oh, I forgot that there was a contained explosion. That's
yes. He reached in with telekinesis and pulled out a fire. That's impressive. Like, holy crap, dude. Like, he really has a superior level of control over his powers now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's angsty. All right.
Angst.
So much angst. We have 3 pages left. Now we have 2 pages left. All right. Speaking of angst, we have a very angsty pose here. This was an interesting moment for me because I was like, oh yeah, I remember this like way back in issue. Like I can't read that note. Or it's something. Right under her elbow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Give me a second.
Right under her elbow. Yeah, and it was such a cool moment back then, and you did such a good job of
17.
Stone. What was it?
17.
Because we talked about it, and you gave me no clues that we would ever see this lady again. And yet, here she is, and it's like, man, it's one of those gut punches that someone brought a bit more realism to comics. Like, I feel like they did this in the Hulk. Didn't they reveal that like Betty was being poisoned by his gamma radiation the whole time?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, and this is that moment for Vance. Like, Vance is having a terrible, terrible day. He's supposed to be having a good time getting out of prison. He had a problem with his mom. He didn't handle the crowd in front of the prison too well. He's got, rioters in his front yard. His new costume isn't so great. So he's upset, so, and then to have this thrown at him, like, hey, I remember you. They're like, you love this guy. Like, turns out maybe not.
Yeah, to me, this was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, where he kind of was feeling a little like he even got into a point where it's like, yeah, like y'all worried. It's like, you ever thought that maybe we are better than you? I'm like, you're throwing rocks at me and bottles. I don't feel that. You guys are punks. Like, nah, I'm the coolest. Call me Coach. And and then all of a sudden, old girl came with the baby. Is like my freaking my Nino is dying here because of what it wasn't even necessarily what he did, but it was sort of as a result of the actions. And like somebody, Elvis says, Firestar's first cancer victim. They didn't necessarily say how, whether it was Firestar, whether it was Terrax, because remember, Terrax came about because of some irradiated soil, enzymes coagulating.
Yes.
Right. And so like it could have been either or, but like it was just that last where, if Vance were hanging on by a string, by the smallest of threads, like Mrs. Aranya just came and was like,
Yep.
and I mean, to the point where, I mean, they, you got the guy on his knees, almost like, what? I can't do anything right, man. What the heck is going on at this point?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a comment from the chat from Jason Lady. He said he thought this part was unnecessary, way too much angst, and I kind of agree. I do agree. Like as I'm reading this book, I was like, oh, Vance is getting out of prison. Oh, gee, oh my gosh. By this time, I felt like he did. So I mean, it was good story pacing, but man, I was like, the only thing that, like, the storytelling beat. Yes, I agree with you, Jason. Like I was just done at this point. But I had to give him credit. I was like, man, they brought back that moment from 17 that I remember. And that's clever storytelling and depressing, but clever.
I agree too, actually. Like, I understand the whole setup of it. Like, they wanted to get Vance to a point where the point was that he was broken. Fabian wanted him broken. Why did he want him broken? I mean, you can kind of guess, right? Like, you got I haven't read 43 and let's say from 43 to 50, I don't exactly remember everything that happened each month here. I'm learning or rereading them, and refreshing my memory. But Shinobi Shaw clearly thinks that he can use Vance Astrovik as a pawn. We haven't gotten there yet, but all of this, like, if Vance had come out of prison completely and everything was sunshine and roses, and then, like a normal person from prison would have done, would have just gotten a hotel room with Angelica and not been seen for about 4 or 5 days. But like he didn't. And like, had he done that though, like then if a philanthropist or whatever, Shinobi Shaw lied and called himself, came along and said, maybe you should come with me, I can show you a better way, he'd have been like, no, man, like if you would have seen what went on in that room right now, like I'm going back and doing that for another 4 or 5 more days, bro. I'm good on any life changes that are needed. But like, I think Fabian wanted to establish that as is, everything that's going on with Vance Astrovik is not okay. And it's not okay enough that it led him to go with Shinobi Shaw.
I think you're absolutely right. It's tough to read, but it's definitely going somewhere. So there is that. I have 2 side questions that occurred to me while we were talking. One, what do you think he keeps in all those pouches on his belt?
Good question. Like, maybe like something to wipe off his like eyes, like from sweating too much.
Maybe Skittles.
Yeah,
I don't know. But follow-up question, which is probably more pertinent. Do you feel like Night Thrasher is starting to look around his team like, how many murderers do I have on this team? Like he himself coming like a hair's breadth. Oh wait, did he kill Ty? Yeah, he's got more versions on that team. Damn. The Punisher's like, no, I can't roll. These kids are too violent for me.
I mean, you got Firestar existing, and everyone's like, cancer.
Cancer. Rage killed a dude.
Rage killed a dude. Marvel Boy, Justice killed a dude. Night Thrasher killed an old lady.
Punisher's like, man, I can't hang out with y'all. It's bad for my rep.
Yeah, Punisher's gonna come back like, bro.
Like, yeah, didn't we have this conversation like issue 6?
We had this talk, man. Your whole team killing people.
Anyway, food for thought. All right, 2 more pages left. This is sort of like the Shinobi recruitment moment we talked about, and Vance decides to take a breather and leave with Shinobi, and good storytelling once again, where we walk through silent panels as he makes his decision. He's looking at Shinobi. He's looking at his mom, who turns her back on him.
Yeah.
He's like, if that relationship had been 2 ounces stronger, I think he makes a different decision, but it just was broken. Everything is stacked against Vance right now. So we're going to definitely be testing his true heroism in issues to come.
And the relationship with him and Angelica is a little bit strained at this point too, because she's like, you're leaving me. I just got you back. And
I'm out of jail for the first time in how long? And that's my lady friend. Shinobi's going to have a better pitch than what he brought.
Dude, I already told you. It's like, oh no, Friends of Humanity are after me and they think I'm a bad guy. So Holiday Inn off of Route 7.
I will be there.
you wearing that costume?
Costume. Oh, wear the one from Spidey and His Amazing Friends for me, would you? Don't ask questions.
I'm just saying, man. I would not have been like, I'll talk to mom later. I'll deal with all this BS later. Like, I've been in prison for about 2 or 3 years. You know what? We belabor that point enough. But
and Jason Lady in the chat just said Speedball ain't killed nobody, which we have to say yet, because I remember how Civil War started.
Of course, to me, this is just like the formation of why they could come back out with a Warriors team. Was like, man, we're bonded in pain, especially at this point. Like, Nova has been in intergalactic wars at this point, so I'm sure that Nova's probably had to do some things too. Like, they can reunite under some shared pain there, and like, and say, hey, then our job is to prevent other people from feeling that pain or something like that. No, Warriors. I don't know.
That's a good idea. I'm on board. Yep. Let's go.
Last page.
Last page is indeed the last page, and it's the one that makes me the most happy. And I think you know why. I love Submariner. I love Namor. I love him so much, especially in the 90s when Byrne had that series. I'm actively trying to complete a run of it. Our good friend in the chat, Jim Meal, has actually found some issues I was missing, picked them up for me, mailed them to me. Awesome. Thank you, Jim. But let's get back to it. Yeah, it's basically a check back in at Atlantis. It is Atlantis, right? Or is that, am I going to DC? Doesn't matter. Right. Doesn't matter. Anyways, we're going to the Undersea Kingdom, where the wise old blue dude who saw Namor swim away is basically reporting this to Namor. And Namor's like, well, I'm gonna have to get involved. And I'm like, yay, because I like Namor. And especially in this 90s era. So it'll be neat to see him interact. I enjoyed when we saw him interact with the New Warriors before, more so with just her. But, I like that he's that sort of the grumpy, stalwart, regal leader that they might be needing, or because it's Namor, it could have an adverse effect. So he's a great agent of chaos. That's what I'm trying to say. He
absolutely is a good agent of chaos. And I'll riff off what Jason Lady just said. I'm like, dang, Namor's been getting that chest workout. Like, this is Derek. This is Derek's audition. Like, he's already had one for Spider-Man. He had one for Fantastic Four. And now this one's for Namor. Like, I will draw Namor too.
Right now, I think John Byrne's got it, and then he's gonna hand it over to Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's big break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. I remember those covers. Jay Lee has some awesome.
Very
covers.
Unique guy. He's kind of a love him or hate him artist. Most people love him, but I it's very different. So I get the people that aren't big on.
So we have ended with looking like Namorita, at least for now, was wanting to see her cousin for some reason. So like Namor's going to go after her, and we're going to be talking about that next issue. Cool. What do you think is going to go on with I have to break myself for saying Marvel Boy. What do you think is going to go on with Justice, with Vance?
Well, I've seen similar storylines. He's obviously being tempted by the dark side, if you will. I think he'll probably dabble in that until something or someone, wakes him up and makes him realize it's not the path that he wants to go down. I don't know who that is. Firestar is a very likely candidate. But it could be someone it wouldn't surprise me if it was some, mutant leader, who says this ain't the way, be it Charles or Magneto. Either one of them could talk sense into him about the route he's taking. Because I think both Charles and Magneto would tell the boy, no, this ain't the way. Magneto's a little more aggressive, but he would rather him be harnessed and focused and doing things for the cause, not out of emotional anger, I feel.
I think that's a pretty good guess in that, especially if you remember or not, like earlier on in the book, Speedball mentioned a mutant team, right? He mentioned X-Force.
Oh.
And it was kind of like, a throwaway line of sorts, but basically Vance was kind of like, why is all this attention on me? And Speedball said something to the effect of, you were just the available targets, like X-Force hadn't blown up a building today or something to that effect.
Right. Yeah.
And so maybe X-Force has something to do with it. And X-Force has some time. Yep, it's the 90s. So X-Force was very, very popular. And they already have some tie-ins to the New Warriors as well. Where Firestar has some dealings with Warpath and with Cannonball. So
true. I was out for that issue, but I remember it. Yeah. And if I go back to this page, I got to count the pouches. If it's X-Force level of pouching, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's enough pouches.
Not quite. There has to be like a pouch around like the thigh, which would be like the last place that you would want to put pouches, because
if he's a pouch where you open it, is inside is more pouches. Got the thigh pouch.
It's like Inception with the pouches.
Hey, I just want to say real quick, I don't know if you watchers can see the numbers that we can see. We've broken over 100 watchers on this live stream, so thank you for making that happen.
Heck yeah.
And if you're just watching and you're like, what's going on with this? We'd love you to say hi in the chat. And for those of you who are in the chat and are regular supporters, thank you so much. Don't forget to like. And if you haven't subscribed, you chat people, I'm sure you all have, but make today the day.
Please do. Yeah, we can go ahead and transition on to the next segment, Jarrod.
All right. I think we're going to talk about Warriors and Warriors.
Yes, sir.
The main cover. I suspect our Warrior is going to be the same, but I will let you, just nail them both down. Tell me who's your Warrior, who's your Warrior, and I'll pick it up when you're done.
Man, I don't even have one for Warrior. I don't think anyone stood out per se in this book of angst. Because most of the Warriors were back characters, and the main two were Justice and Namorita. That's what the book was really about. So I agree. I think I'm going to opt out of a Warrior, and we're both worried about probably Namorita and Vance. I'm worried about both of them, So what do you think?
I agree. I'm going to give Warrior to us as the readers for making it through this angsty book. If I was forced to give a Warrior for real, I would. It's not a lot of in the Namor, because I love Namor. Yeah. And definitely my ultimate Warrior is it's Vance. He needs to pull through this. He's in a super emotional state right now, which is never the best time to be making decisions. So yeah, he's it. I'm not as worried about Namorita. I know she's gone through changes, and now she's looking for her cousin, I guess. I don't know if she's looking for help from him or she's looking to battle him. But looking at those, he has not missed his weight days. So good luck with that if that's her plan. I don't know. So we'll see. Fabian's done a good job of leaving question marks at the end of an issue, which is what you want to do as a comic book writer, to keep people coming back.
Yeah,
and I did consider giving the Ultimate Warrior to Shinobi. And I think Auburn Elvis might have mentioned that in the chat. Because he's got a plan and it's working.
He does have a plan, and even if his plan was just to sit in the background and wait until the powder keg went off. Now, one thing I will definitely retroactively come back and give him Warrior for is if he were kind of behind the machinations of like Friends of Humanity showing up to Mrs. Astrovik's house. If he planned all that, it's like, dang, dude, you are one sinister SOB in order to do that. Like, but that has not been shown yet. All we know is that Friends of Humanity showed up to her house saying, well, where's your mutant son? And she's like, he's not here. And they still are like, we're going to burn your house down anyway. So yeah, it's hard to say. But if he's behind all of that, yeah, I would come back and retroactively give him a Warrior. Matt Paso says, Warrior is Firestar for being there for justice. Warrior, Namorita. Now for what is she becoming?
I don't know.
And Jason Lady says, Warrior, the whole team trying to be supportive of Vance. There. Warrior, Vance going off with the limo man.
Limo man.
And Auburn Elvis says Ultimate Warrior goes to the mental image Shinobi Shaw has of himself.
Shinobi Shaw's out there like, my biggest fear is that Vance Astrovik's family will be held accountable. They live at 213 Belvedere Lane. I think she gets off work at 5:30.
Oh, that's funny. Let's rate it 1 to 10. It was an angst-ridden issue as we saw the return of Vance Astrovik, aka Justice. What would you rate the book, Jarrod?
I'm on record of not liking the angsty stuff a whole lot, so it kind of starts off at a 5. But I'm interested in Shinobi Shaw as a character I'm completely unfamiliar with. So I don't know what the hell I was doing in the 90s, but it didn't involve Shinobi Shaw.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested. The Namor thing has got me hooked. Oh. It's a fish pun. But I'm interested in Namorita, what's happening to her. They're bringing Namor in, which makes me very happy. So there's a couple of bump ups. I can land on a 7, which surprised me because as I initially read this issue, I was like, but I think he did it. I said it just a moment ago. He left us with questions that I'm interested in answers to. And so that brings it up.
I'm never a fan of misery for the sake of misery.
It's tough.
Yeah, because if a book is doing that, it's almost like
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I could just look at my real life if I want to get that depressed. Like, dang, there's all sorts of real issues I need to address, but there was a purpose here, and so I kind of did a job because first time I read it, I was like, dang, this is heavy, even realistic but heavy. But I saw the setup coming, like in. Let's say New Warriors 1, for instance. Let's just assume that somehow in New Warriors 1 that Vance had the powers that he does now. And then he was approached by Shinobi Shaw. Would Vance go with Shinobi Shaw?
No. He's all about impressing Captain America, who seems like the opposite of
Right. There is no way Vance Astrovik would have done it. He was way too idealistic, way too optimistic. And at this point, that optimism has waned a little bit, and that cynicism has grown. And so the thing that I really, really like about Vance is he's going to find his way. And and that's been a consistent factor that's gone on in the New Warriors, that Fabian has always been very consistent with showing that at the core of Vance Astrovik is a good man. As a good young man. And so but you know what? It's easy to be good in a vacuum, right? But in that real world, you've got those trials and tribulations that test you sometimes, and sometimes it drops you to a knee. and you still got to get the heck back up. And right now, we are literally seeing Vance Astrovik on his knees. I think he's going to get back up again.
Of course he is. I think it's going to end up fine for him. I'm interested in the behind the scenes. If we ever talk to Fabian again, like, did they tell him that he needed to use Shinobi Shaw? Were they trying to make him a thing in the 90s? Or was that his choice? Because I mean, honest, if I was writing this and we had this angsty mutant who's been released from prison and is a bit susceptible in a tough emotional state, I would have had Magneto in there. Like, hey man, I got a team for you. If you're tired of all this.
I think that Fabian was writing X-Force at the time.
Oh, I see now why these two are going to converge.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Matt Postle just said that, I think, in the chat. Fabian's also writing X-Force. Bit of a... Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Because, yeah, but again, I don't know a lot about the Shinobi guy. Just saying, my go-to for the recruitment of a vulnerable mutant would have been Magneto.
Yeah. Did I give a number, by the way?
I don't know that you did. I know I gave it a 7, and you probably have one, and there's probably people in the chat have some.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8, by the way. I think that it was good. Like, I was probably, much like you, I was going to start probably a little lower, like 6, 7. But like when I thought about what Fabian was setting up and why and how, that made me soften my stance a little bit and realize that he had a good idea going on. He had a good concept going on. And so I much appreciate it. Matt Paso gave this book a 9, says it's great to have the team back together, if only for a second. And Trey Black says 8. Yeah, it's angsty, but it serves the story. Can't have a rainbow unless it rains. Very good quote, Matt. 6. Jason Lady says, too angsty. I think with this issue, we embark on nonstop angst.
Uh-oh.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't remember. I want to say that's not true. I honestly don't remember. I know a little bit about what happens next issue, but we're close to talking about that. Let's see. Was there anything else from the comments? No, I think we're good. We rated the book. We are off to, well, this wasn't a part anything of anything, just a relative one-off, even though it clearly has built onto other things that happen into the New Warriors. So I'm interested to see what happens next issue, because right now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. Come back and join us next month where we discuss New Warriors 44, where Namorita, well, maybe we need to be calling her a new name now. If you'd like to hear more from us, Longbox Crusade, we are everywhere, y'all. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, most podcatchers. If you look for Longbox Crusade, you're going to find us there. Same thing with Twitter X, same thing with Facebook, Instagram. We have a Crusaders Club. We're one short of 50 members. 50 members means that Jarrod and I will do a review of a movie. I think we agreed that movie's probably going to be the original Flash. So if one more person decides to join us in the Crusaders Club for only $1 a month, by the way, we will be doing a review of the original Flash Gordon. And as we've mentioned a couple of times, YouTube, subscribe. We have both recorded and live content there as well. And we also have some t-shirts as well, by the way. We need to come out to play t-shirt. Do we have to come out to play t-shirt, Jarrod?
No, I mean, I've designed a tile for it that I'm kind of proud of, but we have not turned it into a t-shirt. But we could talk to our t-shirt manager, which is Pat, when he gets a breather. And I happen to know on the inside that our friend AU Kathy is working on some designs for Pat as well. So, yeah, I even have a banner for that. Is this it? Yeah,
it is. It is. So yeah,
apparently we're on TeePublic.
Yeah, we are on TeePublic. If you go to teepublic.com and go to look for Longbox Crusade, you can find some merch there. Now we have some for Transformers Chronicles. I know we have some for the network as well. Yeah, if you like to do that, come check that out as well. You can email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com, and you can even leave us a voicemail for this podcast or any other podcast at 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOB. LONGBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the angst. And yeah, I think that's it, except for Jarrod telling everyone where he can be found.
All right. I can be found at or on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And of course, I'm at the Senator Kelly reelection campaign office every chance I get. Delvin, where can they find you?
You can find me with the Mutant Liberation Front and on Twitter, X, DEE_RAY1977, Instagram at Delvin Ray. We did amazing numbers. And I know Jarrod mentioned that. Like, man, I mean, absolutely honored. Like, and would love to see this again. Please like and subscribe. But for now, have a good night, everybody. And remember, please be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. And until next month, New Warriors come out to play.
See you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.